So some things that I want you guys to think about when you're creating this. This is Max and Maya. No matter which one you're in, you're going to need to think about what you're rendering and how. So here we have our width and height, and we have it over here. If you're dealing with a production quality, high definition is 1920 by 1080. If that's a little bit too much for you or your computer, you can do 1280 by 720, but we do want to get that high definition rectangle. A square is not going to quite cut it. And here we can turn up the resolution if you find that it's kind of not as clear. And then at the top, I'll show you in Maya, but we want to make sure what we're rendering. If you are trying to render a movie, don't forget you have to put in the range of keyframes, or if we're just doing a single frame, that's fine too. With your turntable, of course, it's going to be a range. Now, here's the main difference. You can render from Max or Maya directly to an AVI or movie file, and for this course, that's okay. But know for the future, I like to render out to Targa files, TGA or TARGA, and then I bring them into After Effects and render them as a video in there. Now, why would I take the time to do this extra step? Well, if you're rendering in Max or Maya, and let's say it gets 99.9% done, and for some reason you have a crash or an error in the file and it freezes or crashes or restarts, you've lost your entire video. So depending upon how long these renders are taking, that could be a significant amount. If I render directly to Targa files or JPEG or TIFF, and I get 99.9% of the way and it crashes, I still have the 99% of frames completed and those are set. I only have to re-render that last couple of frames where it crashed. Then I can bring it into After Effects, render it to a movie, and we're set. Okay? So in both Max and Maya, we have, let's see here, it's going to tell you what to render using. For this course, I am fine with you using any default renderers. We have Arnold, we have Mental Ray, but whatever you feel comfortable with, that's fine with me. So I could just use Maya software up here. You're going to give your file a name, and again, this is the same for both, so make sure you're giving it a name. Image format, this is where we would find, our QuickTime movie, or if we were going to render to frames, our Targa file. Name.extension for a single frame. In Max, it's going to be a check if you want single frame or movie. But we want name.number.extension if you're doing multiple frames. So for example, this would be, if I named this Gen Final, it would be genfinal.1.targa or whatever I ended up doing. gen.2.targa. I do not know why Maya has it this way, but if your extension's in the middle, there isn't a single program that can read a number 1, number 2 file. So name.number.extension. Showed you in the Max image, but in here, start frame, end frame if you're doing multiple files. Make sure in both you select whichever camera you're dealing with. So for here, I'm using my perspective, and then of course we talked about the dimensions, and then you're set to actually do a batch render or a render.